We are now live on Facebook for this month's membership Q&A session for ANLP. Anybody who's interested in any membership related questions. We don't actually have anybody joining us on Zoom at the moment, so it's just the three of us. Let me introduce Amanda, our relationships manager, and Nina, our membership coordinator. So at the moment, we're just going to have a lovely chat between us.
Okie dokie.
So, what can we think of that people might want to know about ANLP membership?
Well, what are the benefits of ANLP membership, Karen?
Oh, right. So they are many and varied, and it really depends on what your own values are in terms of whether you're looking to belong to ANLP because you need to increase and raise your credibility within the community. Whether you're looking for discounts, you can get conference discounts, and you get discounts on various other things for being a member of ANLP. We also provide a variety of marketing tools that you can use to enhance your business, which include things like the members logo. What else do we do, Nina? We have support for practice groups.
Yes, it's being part of a community, demonstrates your professionalism and credibility by belonging to a professional organisation. You've mentioned the discount. The discounts are huge, particularly insurance. The companies that we work with, the discounts that they offer, they are massive. So that's what, even if you've got nothing else, the insurance is definitely worth joining for. But you do get lots more. You get lots of other benefits.
And you mentioned, Nina, the community. So since last year, when the pandemic hit, we started providing a lot more community-based resources. So we do our community chat once a week on a Monday evening at 18:30. Currently GMT, will be BST when the clocks go forward. So there's that. We also do a sort of community chat, especially for trainers and accredited trainers once a month. That's the first Thursday in the month, isn't it, Amanda?
Yeah, first Thursday every month. Yeah,
first Thursday every month. And we also do these sessions. So these are once a month, and the times vary. So we pick different times of day in the hope that different people will join us. And one of the things you've been working on, Amanda, tell us about the Q&A sessions that you're currently working on with some of the trainer members.
Yeah, so Cash and I at the moment are working together with our lovely trainers and accredited trainers to introduce people to ANLP if they don't maybe know what it's about. So the idea is that we will join trainers and accredited trainers on their courses towards the end of the practitioner course or the master practitioner course, to introduce ourselves to people and say hello, who we are, what we do, talk about the member benefits and what we can do for people as a company and how we can help them, whether they're looking to do NLP professionally or whether they just want to do it on a personal level. We're here to talk to them and to say to them what we can provide. So like you've done, Karen, you've just talked about all the wonderful benefits that we have. People might not know about that. So we're there to have a Q&A session with their students and say, this is what we are, this is what we do. Come and be a member of this wonderful professional body. Why would you not want to be a member? That's what the Q&As are designed for, just to introduce people to ANLP and to let people have an open forum to talk to us about things they may need to know, different levels of the membership that we offer, because obviously we all know we offer lots of different levels. You can join at just an associate level or a trainer level or a professional level, depending on what you want to do with NLP. So,
and we also have for our trainer members, we also do introductory memberships, don't we, Nina? So
we do.
What are the introductory memberships that are only accessible to certain people?
So as a trainer benefit, you can purchase introductory memberships for your students as a kind of a gift really that you can gift to them at the end of their course once they've completed their course, and it gives them 3 months membership to ANLP. Once they are an introductory membership, a member, they will receive a series of emails from us which will help them and guide them into making the most use of their profile, because they have a profile page on our website, so people can find them, how to market themselves, all sorts of help. And then at the end of the 3 months, or just towards the end of the 3 months, they'll be invited to stay with us, which we hope they will. And by doing that, they miss having to pay the joining fee, which would be chargeable to anybody that was joining not through an introductory membership. So if someone was just coming from, found us through the website and wanted to join, there is a joining fee. So you get that benefit of not having to pay that. So it's a huge thing. It costs the trainers very little, but it's worth, is it 100? I was there 160.
Yeah, 3 month membership, because they get the introductory members, they get all the same facilities that a full professional member would have. So they've got access to the research journal, to Acuity, to Rapport, our magazine, and they have a full profile on the website, which is searchable by members of the public. So they enjoy all the facilities that a paying member would have, and as you say, it's a very reasonable cost to the trainers. The trainers can then use that to elevate their course, as a marketing tool. Come and do my course, and I include 3 months membership of ANLP. And as you say, the members, the introductory members, then have their admin fee waived at the end of their trial period. So if nothing else, they've saved £48 on an admin fee by just continuing their introductory membership and turning it into a professional membership. And the good thing about that as well is, of course, what we also do is we treat, because they've been introduced to us by the trainer, they don't have to have the 3 testimonials, because the very fact that they've been introduced by the trainer in the first place, that is their trainer reference. Because we do trust our trainer members that they're only going to refer people to us that are worthy of membership. So yeah, that's one of the other things that we are doing. And we've all had a flurry of activity in recent weeks, haven't we? Because we've just introduced a new module on the website, our professional standards module. Ina, you've been on the receiving end of emails and things from our members at the introduction of the professional standards module. Good feedback?
Yes. Oh, yes. All of it has been, yes, very, very positive. And yes, really pleased that we've done this, because there is a bit of a backstory to it, and the idea came to us a good couple of years ago, and through one thing or another, and things outside of our control, it's taken this long to actually deliver it. But yeah, no, all of the feedback has been very, very positive. Yes.
And the intention of the professional standards module is again elevating professionalism within NLP, within the field of NLP. And this is the opportunity that members have. It's not mandatory. It's another member benefit, that they have the opportunity within their profile to demonstrate their professionalism in a variety of ways, and that will give them either bronze, silver, or gold professional standards on top of their membership. So have either of you had a play with that system and had a go at uploading things or playing with things and doing it from a sort of test perspective?
Not yet.
I haven't yet, no.
But it's really simple and straightforward to use, and that there are guidelines on every page of the professional standards tab. And I think we had our first member reached gold standard for professional standards within less than a week of us launching the professional standards module, which is fantastic. We will be sending out. We did send out an interim news update to members. We tend to send out a news update once a month. But we were so excited by this that we sent out an interim news update to members just to say, yay, look, this is now live. And within a week of sending out that update, we had our first member who
I'm actually just looking at her on the website. So as a member of the public would see her with her lovely gold star beside her name.
and what the members can do once they've achieved that professional standard, that they can actually download a professional standard certificate to have alongside their membership certificate that demonstrates to potential clients that they've actually reached professional standards as well as ANLP membership. But I've seen some of the feedback. It's really encouraging. That, I mean, we do these things in the first place. We do these things because either members request them, or we do some market research around, what would be a good thing, what would members appreciate. And so it is lovely when we do actually launch something and we get a positive response to it. So yeah, that's brilliant. So what else have we been up to recently? I'm trying to
Well, just to let you know, Karen, we've got 6 people watching at the moment. So I wonder if anybody has any questions around anything we're talking about at the moment. But please don't hesitate. Just drop a comment and we'll get your questions answered.
Do you know who's watching? Do we have any names we can shout out?
I can't see any names. No, I can just see there are 5 people watching. So we did have 11 at one point.
Oh,
I know.
We put some people off.
I just wondered if anybody had any questions.
If only I were more technically. I'm just going on. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing on Facebook Live. So it's not really much use me going and logging on there and saying I don't know what's going on. So there you go. That's
we have our first question from the lovely Tony Nutley. Do people know just how wonderful we are?
Well, Tony, do they?
Do they, Tony? What do you think?
Oh, that's lovely, Tony. Thank you.
Yeah. So I wonder. I'm curious now, Tony. What is it that you think makes us as wonderful as we are? You're gonna have to wait for him to respond.
Yeah, because there is a little delay. It's interesting watching it on the delay.
Typing quickly.
He says, "Well, I do," and he's put a little winky face. So that's nice.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, it was lovely when we did a Q&A session last week, didn't we, Amanda? And what was so lovely was the trainer sort of made some lovely positive comments about us to his students. And one of his students remarked, joining ANLP is a no-brainer. And it was sort of, that's so lovely when somebody says that. And we still, it's sort of breaking that down. And what exactly did we do that enables that student to think joining ANLP is a no-brainer? And it's still a question I think we ask each other fairly regularly. And that's why it is a challenge to answer those questions. Why should I join ANLP? Because it really is, what do people want? Because it is, we quite possibly, hopefully, are providing what they wish. If they wish to be practicing as an NLP professional in the field of NLP, then we are the only independent professional body, certainly in the UK, and we work with the other independent professional bodies globally. There are only 4 independent bodies globally that look after NLP. And we work with all of them anyway. We collaborate with them on various projects and work in that way, so that goodness forbid, we did have a complaint or something, and if that person's not a member of ANLP, which tends to be the case when we get complaints in, they're not a member of ANLP in the first place. So there's not an awful lot we can do about it. And so we do make sure, we check in with the other organisations. We do research into the person who has been complained about, and we don't like leaving people high and dry. We don't want them to go away with a bad taste for NLP, because there's a difference between NLP and someone who may not be practicing in quite the way that we would hope they would in a professional way. So we do always want to support people in the best way we can, and give them a steer as to where they can possibly go if we're not able to help them. Would you say that's a fair comment, Nina?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes, I will always, when complaints come in, always, if they're not a member, try and give them somewhere that they can go to for help, rather than just leaving them. Yeah, Tony's just saying some really nice things. Got those, Amanda.
Tony said service, commitment to the members and to the NLP field, etc. And you are just nice people, nice in capital letters, because we're obviously and he's also said joining is the mark of a professional.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
that's our mission. So
yeah.
we know, we sort of buy into the bigger vision for the NLP field, which I would like to think the vision for the NLP field is to have NLP more widely recognised, mainstream, acceptable solution to everyday challenges and issues. And we can't claim to be able to do that single-handedly. It's not really about us. It's about, well, certainly from our perspective, it's about our members and what they're doing. But our part in that vision is to be the global flag bearers for professional NLP. So we are there to signpost people. Nina's laughing. We're there to signpost people to where they can find a professional NLP trainer, or someone to work with one-to-one or group work or whatever it is they're wanting. So it's all about.
First question from Yay! Tony Nutley.
Oh, we sorry.
We are. Then Nina had a bit of a sound boo-boo there, I think.
Nina's looking rather panicked there. Nina, I have just put you on mute because you're playing 20 seconds behind us or whatever. So I don't know if you want to mute.
I've had to kill it. I don't know how I started that off. It was silent, and then suddenly it burst into full volume. Sorry about that.
No, it's absolutely fine. So what we exceed in professionally, we sometimes lack in technology.
Yes.
Us three do, yeah. But
we are not the technical arm of ANLP.
No.
We do have other people on the team who probably understand a bit more about technology than we do, and they're just not here at the moment, so it's fine. We're muddling through as best we can. One of the other things we do well is humour.
I think you have to, don't you?
Yeah, you definitely do. Professionalism and humour can go hand in hand. It's absolutely fine. Do we have any other comments or questions, Amanda?
No, just Tony warning Nina that she's going to have some more certificates at some point this week. But I think, Karen, you were talking about one of the other member benefits of the conference, which actually is a huge member benefit for people that join ANLP. So do you want to talk a bit more about the conference for people that might think about joining, especially because it's going to be brand new and shiny this year and virtual? So
brand new shiny, yes. We had 3 years of running a hugely successful conference down at the Park Inn at Heathrow, and really sort of turned the conference on its head, I guess, and had it's such an enjoyable part of what we do is running the conference. This year, well, we kind of lost the conference last year because it's a huge event in the calendar. It takes a long time to pull together and organise, and it was just really poorly timed in terms of In terms of the global pandemic, so we ended up postponing.
No, Karen, it wasn't the conference that was poorly timed. It was the pandemic.
It was the
Very
pandemic.
poorly timed.
Yeah, the pandemic was poorly timed to coincide with the conference.
For that in.
So we ended up having to postpone the conference. Rather, and part of the reason for doing that, you know, we possibly could have, in a very short space of time, muddled our way through a virtual event, and it would have completely clashed with our professional values, and also, you know, the love and care and support that we put into the conference. To turn all that around and make it into a virtual event so quickly wasn't possible for us to do, and keep those same levels of service that we pride ourselves in delivering. So we just postponed last year's, and we have the virtual conference happening on the 14th to 16th of May this year. We are so lucky. I think we were talking earlier on our team meeting about being blessed with various things, and we are so lucky to be blessed with such amazing support within the NLP community. And we were able to pretty much pick up the entire conference and move it to this year, with the same presenters. We still have Connie Ray Andreas doing our masterclass on the Friday, which is going to be awesome. And then a variety of presenters over the Saturday and Sunday. And the royal we, because I think we've already established technology is not one of our skill set. But the other members of the team, like Cash, who do definitely have some technology in their skill set, together with some of our stewards who also have technology in their skill set, have been doing an amazing job at testing, triple testing, quadruple testing all the technology platforms that we will be using for the conference, to ensure that we can still deliver a quality professional event for everybody who attends. It will be so much more than just jump on Zoom again, because I think we were saying, you know, sometimes we're a bit zoomed out, that this will be so much more than that, as one would expect. From you know, NLP, it's all about communication, so we need to be able to do it right. And we have spent a lot of time, the royal we have spent a lot of time testing the technology to make sure that it will stand up to the rigors of the NLP conference that we will be delivering in May. And over the next couple of months, do keep an eye out on your emails if you're on the conference mailing list, and especially if you're a conference delegate or you're about to be a conference delegate, do keep an eye open, because we are going to be inviting you, well, to come and do some socials to test out the technology and have some fun with the technology, but also there's going to be an opportunity to actually join some of the sessions and see them live prior to the conference, which will be fantastic. If you happen to have two sessions running at the same time on your schedule and you want to see both of them live, you'll be able to see one live prior and one live during the conference. Of course, the other great thing about running the event virtually rather than in person is that everything will be recorded, and those resources will be available to all delegates for 6 months after the event. So that, I think we've got 78 hours of presentations running over 3 days altogether, and the fact that you can then watch those 78 hours at your leisure as many times as you choose over the next 6 months, there's going to be a depth of learning there that maybe doesn't necessarily always happen at the in-person conference. We're still figuring out how to do real hugs in a virtual way, but then so's the rest of the world. So yeah. I think one of our members was saying that they're working on an app where you can actually do proper hugging virtually, and yeah, we bring that one on.
Wow.
I think everyone's missing hugs, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. It is one of those things, but it's still, you know, what can we do to make up for that? And actually, the bit, you know, we spent so many weeks and months being focused on the conference and what can we do about the conference and how can we take the conference forward and deliver that in a really professional way. The awards, the NLP awards, actually fell by the wayside for a little while, which is really, you know, we did utter our apologies to the finalists in the awards, because again, we could have just said, well, okay, let's just dish out the winners to the awards. We'll just do it behind the scenes and, you know, get them a little trophy or something and post it to them. That's it, job done. Move on. But those people deserve the recognition, you know, the amazing stuff that they have done within the NLP community and actually way outside the NLP community. They deserve that recognition. So we took the awards as well and just transported the whole awards event to a virtual event. It did take a lot more head scratching in terms of, because I mean, you know, we've all been to the awards event and it's amazing. It's great fun. It's all proper stage and lights and showcasing and exciting. So it's taken us a while to figure out what can we do in service of these amazing finalists, so that they don't just get lost and swept under the carpet. So we've been working on various things. The awards this year will take place within the NLP conference itself. So we have a big gap in our schedule on the Saturday and Sunday lunchtime. I think it's sort of 3 hours or something like that, to give people a chance to step away and recoup and eat lots. So we put 2 awards on the Saturday and 2 awards on the Sunday. I think we've got business and education on the Saturday and health and public service and community on the Sunday. And we're still, there's a very small awards committee, 3 of us, myself, Shannon and Sarah, one of our stewards. We're working on the awards. We're still putting things together, but we've had great fun, and it's been so insightful to actually have a chat with all the finalists, which we don't normally do, and having that conversation with them, which we did just before Christmas, and they're now live on the awards website. Live. Well, the videos are there. They're not live. They're watchable.
That would be a lot, wouldn't it? Just follow you around all the time.
They're viewable on the awards website. I would really encourage people to go and watch those videos, because they are just, I mean, 2 of the finalists, I think at least 2 of the finalists, brought tears to my eyes. In fact, I think most of them brought tears to my eyes, but my state management with at least 2 of them was not as great as it could have been, and I think I actually had tears rolling down my face. Just for the pure inspiration that these guys, you know, what they are doing with their NLP, how they are applying their NLP out there in the big wide world, is just incredible what they are doing. So please go and watch the finalist chats that are on the awards website, because they're just inspirational. And we did that so that people get a feeling for what these people are doing. And in fact, we said, well, that's one of the things we need to carry forward and continue to do, is that have those conversations with each of the finalists, because it gives so much more depth to what they're doing. And we will do that in future, because otherwise it's we put a picture up of the finalists, we put a little description of what they're doing. It's kind of just words on a page. And being able to talk to those people is just inspirational. So we're working on that. We're working on some little ads at the moment, some little awards adverts, which is using my newfound skill of video editing.
No end to your talents.
I had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So you should give the URL for so it's nlpawards.com.
Thank
Brilliant.
The awards website.
And we're still figuring out, because one of the things again that has fallen by the wayside and continues to fall by the wayside at the moment is of course the awards in previous years have been run as a charity event, raising money for Mind, the mental health charity, and we have a fantastic relationship with them. And last year, obviously, they got nothing out of us because there was no awards, and we're still scratching our heads around what can we do as a community. You know, we're not selling tickets to the awards because there's nothing to sell tickets for, and that's what we would normally do, is we would sell tickets to the awards event, and the proceeds from that would go to the charity. Then we'd sell raffle tickets at the event and during the conference and that sort of thing. And not last year, 2019, when we last had a fundraising event, we raised over £6,000 for Mind in 3 days over the conference and during the evening. And you know, that's quite a significant amount. So we would love, it's going to go out in the next members update, to have someone who would work with us to do some fundraising for Mind. Now, I'm not suggesting let's have a member that goes and walks around the entire UK
shaking a bucket.
shaking a bucket, no, shaking a bucket, or doing a sponsored walk around the UK. They'd probably get arrested for starters by the police because we're still in lockdown. But if we could get a small team of people together, you know, as I said, we're working with a small team of stewards are working on the technology for the conference with Cash. A very small team of stewards are working with myself and Shannon for the awards. If we could find a couple of members who possibly have a bit of time on their hands or something like that, who would be willing to work with us to raise funds for Mind over the year, not just the 3 days of the conference, but you know, over the year, so that we can still give Mind some money. You know, that their services are stretched to the hilt. My understanding is that they're having much greater demands on their services. Their funding has been cut ridiculously, partly because they have less government funding now, and partly because they've got less people fundraising for them. And I think in the field that we work in NLP, we absolutely understand and appreciate the significance of having a charity that is providing support for those with mental health challenges. So it's really, really important that if we can do anything to support them, we can.
As you say, I think it's been really poignant this year, hasn't it? Mental health and as you say, charities like Mind are really stretched to the limit with everything they're trying to do to support people through this horrendous situation. So anything we can do to help.
Absolutely, and it is really key. And it's funny how NLP is starting to be highlighted in certain pockets. It's funny, we were, you know, because we're in lockdown and we can't go out, not that we went out every night anyway, but we find ourselves watching various box sets on TV, and I think we have regular conversations about which box sets we would recommend to each other. That's by the by for this conversation. But one of the things we consecutive nights we were watching Taskmaster one night. We like the comedy stuff, and they mentioned NLP. And then there was another comedy thing that was on TV, and they mentioned NLP. Oh, it was QI, and they mentioned NLP. So it's sort of, there are people out there in the sort of celebrity echelons that are working with NLP and using NLP. So it is out there. Sometimes it's just a case of joining the dots and highlighting those things. So it's all good fun. So
it's also about going to the right place to learn NLP, though, isn't it? Which is something people, if anybody that's watching this that maybe wants to get into learn NLP but doesn't know where to go, our website is great for that, because obviously it's going to show you all the right places to go to train with correct NLP. So unfortunately, I think with everything else, there's been an uptake of some cheaper NLP courses which actually aren't proper NLP. I don't know whether you want to talk a bit about that, Karen.
So when within a week of well, I think it was almost at the stage when the country went into lockdown for the first time last year, we were incredibly aware for our community that having spent the last few years not supporting anything in the way of online learning, because obviously NLP is a very experiential subject and needs to be experienced. It's much more than just a knowledge-based skill. There is a skill to it as well, an experiential skill. So within days of us going into lockdown, the whole country going into lockdown, we'd worked with our accreditation team and a couple of trainers to create some temporary criteria for delivering a virtual training that could still meet good standards in NLP practice and still deliver a rich experiential NLP offering, if you like, in terms of training. And then as those systems got tested over the next couple of months with the continuing lockdown and the realization that actually nothing was going to change in the near future, and of course having dipped the toe in the water of doing a live virtual training, that genie wasn't going to go back in a bottle that quickly, if at all, because there are, like we're learning the benefits of a virtual conference. There are benefits to a virtual live training in this sort of environment. So we developed these criteria, which have now become permanent criteria for delivering a virtual training course. And those criteria are very key in terms, I think that the key elements we could highlight would be that actually the training can be delivered in an environment like this, so via Zoom or another online platform. There are other online platforms available, I'm sure. We've just forgotten what they are.
Yeah, well.
And that the training still needs to be delivered live. And the students still need to be attending live. So those are the two main criteria. So this would, if we were doing any training, this would count. But we're still able to interact with each other. We could still go into breakout rooms. They'd be very lonely with just the three of us. But it's still an option. We can have breakout rooms with one of us in each. And so we set up these various criteria which are available on our website. It's probably quite a long URL, but if you go onto the website and you search for the virtual training criteria, you will find them. They're also linked in various places. So we are now our members are still able to deliver their training. They didn't all have to shut down overnight. They can still deliver their training, and they are still delivering their training, which is brilliant. And we can still then accept those students for ANLP membership, as long as the training they have undertaken meets the criteria for the live virtual training.
I think that's really important to mention, because I think people that are maybe brand new to the world of NLP and are finding their feet on where to go, we need to make sure we're pointing them into the right place, don't we? Because the last thing you want is people to think they've done a practitioner course and it's just not the quality and professional standard that we need to become a member or anything else. So, we're trying to stamp that down, aren't we, as much as we can, to get rid of all these.
It's just informing people of the because it's, I mean, if you think about it in other contexts, NLP professionals are working on a one-to-one basis or on a group basis with individuals who may or may not be in a vulnerable state. They still want to work. I was listening to a recording this morning when I was working the dog. Working the dog? I was walking the dog.
What were you doing to your poor dog?
Yeah, working the dog really hard. When I was walking the dog, and they were talking about this whole the difference between sort of NLP, positive psychology, that sort of thing, and counselling and psychotherapy, and they were talking about that sometimes what happens is in the more sort of psychotherapeutic world, the emphasis is on taking someone from -10 to 0. That's where they've got to get someone from. Whereas in something like NLP, it's taking someone from 0 to 10 or 5 to 10, because it's just about becoming the best you can be. That's what NLP is about, is becoming the best you can be. However, it's still because it's experiential, because it's working with skills as well as knowledge base, you still want people to work with who've actually experienced that for themselves, who've actually undertaken training that has included that experiential practice element, practicing the skills that you're learning, practicing the knowledge. And that can only be done in an environment like this, where you get the opportunity to go into a breakout room and test those skills and what happens if, and all that sort of thing. And it's just the same as, I mean, I know there's been a lot of discussion around at the moment with driving tests, because, I mean, our youngest son was caught in the middle. He was very lucky that when we were in between lockdowns in October, he took his driving test and passed it first time.
Hey.
I'm the only person in the family who didn't pass my driving test first time, but that's another story. But he was able to do that. And now there's discussion around, because at the time I was concerned that he was going to lose, because obviously the test in the UK has 2 elements to it now. There's the theory test and there's the practical test. And he got the theory test, but the theory test it is time limited. You have to take your practical test within 2 years of getting your theory. And my concern was, if they didn't get to the stage where they could actually do their practical test, their theory test was going to run out, and then they'd have to take it again. And because this has been ongoing, so as I said, our son was really lucky. But because there's been this sort of ongoing, there's such a backlog of driving tests now. There's a sort of argument that one of the arguments that's being put forward is, well, if they've got their theory test, just give them their driving test. And it's sort of, and I don't know about you, but I don't think I'd be happy with a load of people driving cars that haven't actually been certified as being competent to drive a car, because there's a lot of difference between the theory of something and the practice of actually doing it. And I think driving is a really good analogy to sit alongside NLP. I mean, it's the same obviously with all sorts of other skills. I wouldn't really want a surgeon working on me who's only ever watched a video.
It's a great analogy though, and puts it into a really serious perspective, doesn't it? That's the point. NLP should be taken as seriously, because it's still a qualification, and that should be seen as such.
And it is a responsibility. That's the thing. I mean, it's one of the things we learn very early on in our NLP training is about taking 100% responsibility for our actions. So that is about taking responsibility. We have a responsibility as NLP professionals, as NLP trainers. We have a responsibility, a duty of care to the people that we're working with. And that duty of care extends at least as far as, can I competently work with the person that can I deliver the best of myself to ensure they can get the best of themselves out of that relationship, out of that encounter that's going to, hopefully going to take place between 2 people. Because it is experiential. It's also very subjective. And there's sort of, I know, I've heard people in the past, NLP didn't work for me, and it might be that they weren't ready for it. It might be that maybe the person, I mean, that's the benefit of having NLP as opposed to being at school. I mean, at school I was thrust into classes, and I had to deal with the teachers that I was given at the time, and I certainly know that my grades reflect how well I got on with the teacher. History was never my strong point.
Just a couple of comments for you here. So Tobiso absolutely loves your analogy of that, and I think it's absolutely right. There's also a genuine question from Tony Nutley. Due to the fact we're not in the office, the certificate I'm producing at the moment has only one signature, which is obviously his. I do hope and trust this is okay.
Absolutely. So you know, we reflect. We have always understood that whilst we recommend that certificates have more than one signature on them, because that means that the students have been assessed by more than one person, and therefore any unconscious bias or anything like that has been taken out of the equation because there's been more than one person assessing a student. However, and I know in Tony's case, he's still got more than one person assessing his students, even if only one person is signing the certificate. However, we've always recognised that that a lot of our trainers, a lot of our members are running a very small business, and they don't necessarily have access to a realm of other trainers that can join in and join their assessment. So actually, we've always accepted certificates with one signature on them. The key thing is, which Tony will know, is that it does need to be the signature of a bona fide NLP trainer. So part of what we recommend on our website is that due diligence practice. Do check before you do any NLP course, do check that the person delivering that NLP course is actually properly qualified to deliver an NLP course. It's really important, because otherwise you'll come out the other end of your NLP course and suddenly find that actually your certification is very attractive and looks lovely, and isn't actually worth the paper it's written on. And Nina, I think, you know, we find ourselves turning down more and more people now because they haven't done their due diligence beforehand. And again, you know, coming back to that analogy of the driving test, it's so important that there is that face-to-face element. Even in a virtual environment, there's a face-to-face element to the certification that you end up receiving. And that's not denigrating anything that is online and doesn't have that element. They are brilliant introductions to NLP. They're a brilliant way to learn, and they're a fantastically accessible way to get a basic grounding in NLP and test whether or not it's, you know, it's something that you're interested in and want to take further. The key is it's a basic grounding in NLP, in the same way that reading a book would be a basic grounding in NLP. I know Cash and I joked quite frequently that we've probably watched enough sort of series of a certain ilk on TV that we could be qualified doctors, or we could be qualified CSI people or something like that. And we know in reality we're not, just because we've watched a few hundred series on TV. And that's the key point, is that, you know, it does take a bit more than watching a few things to create a proper NLP professional, in just the same way as it would take more than just reading a book. Good GCD.
Yeah.
Tony has said thank you.
Our pleasure, Tony.
And Lucy has said you have a very hard-working dog.
Definitely. A hard-working dog who also needs a COVID haircut. No, she's not actually in here at the moment, which is a surprise. She's been shut out. She's been banished. So do we have any more questions or queries or anything? Because if not, we can, you know, we've loved talking to each other.
There are no more questions coming through at the moment. But Karen, I think it's also important, don't you, to talk about our community cafe, as you mentioned earlier, because every Monday night you are there, you and Cash, every Monday, 6:30.
Yeah, 6:30.
Monday night, community cafe, and it's a chance for people to connect, ask questions, ask anything, or even just connect with each other and find out what people are doing, how they're doing it, if they want help and support. So I think people, you know, if you're looking for somebody to talk to, or just to come and have a bit of different time with different face, and, you know, rather than person you live with, or you might live on your own and be fed up of talking to a wall. But so come and talk to us, because it's a lovely place to connect and get support and help and meet people that you might not have met before. So I think the community cafe really should be championed, and I think you and Cash were running that every Monday. I mean, what other professional body do you know where you can talk to the CEO herself every Monday night? Come on.
Well, thank you. And it's again, we enjoy it, and it's another thing that, you know, we will continue. This is here to stay. The community cafe, because it's proved to be it's been inspiring in terms of the connections that have been made between people, the projects that have come out of it. I mean, we have a whole section on our website that at the moment are called COVID-19 resources. That whole section came out of the first community cafe that we held, because it was, wouldn't it be a lovely idea if we put together, you know, that was just ideas. And we have bite-sized videos, and we have people, you know, members who are offering complementary resources to key workers and those that are affected by the continuing pandemic. And our intention is to repurpose those, not take them away. It's just repurpose them in the long term, in the same way, you know, the community cafe, it was initially a COVID-19 support hub for members, but it's just a community resource. And it's amazing, and the people that we talk to, so many ideas come out of it. I end up with a raft of post-it notes from each session, and it's lovely that the projects that have come out of it, where members of, oh, you know, we could collaborate on that. One of our regulars at the community cafe has started up an entire healthcare project as a result of, or partly as a result of coming to the community cafe, expanding those ideas. And as you say, it's a great opportunity that for people to just come and talk to us about whatever they want to talk about. There's no such thing as a silly question. If there is, I'm the one asking them. So.
And me. Wendy Foster said, you are being listened to, always good sense as well as good information.
Thank you, Wendy.
Oh.
Which is lovely. And Tony's saying, great to see you got to fly, work calling. So
Hi, Tony.
hi, Tony.
Hi. So I mean, yeah, and that's the point, you know. Thank you for championing those, Amanda, because they are there. We are accessible to all our members. It is a members benefit. This is on Facebook Live. This is for anybody, member or not member. It's absolutely fine. We're here to answer all questions. And we're going to encourage our introductory members to come along to this as well. And they can also come to the community cafe. The community cafe and the trainers and accredited trainers cafe, they are member benefits. And as you say, it's just an opportunity to sometimes we chew the cud, just that's it. Sometimes we have a real laugh. Sometimes we generate amazing ideas and projects and things like that. It's different every week. And that's what keeps it real, really, and keeps it evolving. Is just what we never know what's going to turn up. Well, I don't know what's going to turn up in terms of people. They're people, but what's going to turn up in the way of ideas and collaborations and projects and laughs. It's
exciting, isn't it? It keeps it fresh.
And it's just about being curious and what might happen. So yeah. So if there isn't anything else for us to is there anything else we want to draw to people?
Oh, I have got a question from Lucy. Yeah. Said, sorry, I was late to this Zoom. Ironically, my question was actually around scheduling and keeping to time with online work. Any suggestions on managing time when working from home? How many clients do practitioners see per day/week? Allowing time for preparation, follow-up, and taking a screen breather in between.
So that would be a really good question that would be answered in the community cafe, because that's where you are talking to other practitioners. So one of our regulars at the community cafe, I think, would be able to answer that really well. And my answer to that, I mean, we've always worked from home. ANLP dumped their office in 2012, and I think Anila, you've worked from home for a long time as well. So there it is very much horses for courses, and there is a certain discipline involved in working from home. And it very much, we were talking about it earlier, about, you know, attending training courses and things like that, and what the trainers are doing, because they're all doing very different things to suit their map of the world. And I think it's very much about what suits you. And I know that sounds like I'm just pushing it back onto you, but everybody's different. Trainers and NLP professionals spring to mind who are very, very confident and comfortable in this sort of environment. They can probably manage a much higher capacity, online capacity, than maybe we can. And certainly, I mean, there are still members out there who, you know, that if they're bubbling with people or something like that, they're doing a sort of a walk, or, you know, I mean, I still bump into people when I take the dog for a walk every day. Not literally bump into people, there's 2 meter distance at least. In fact, I'm getting very good at skirting around the edges of it. But it is very much what's going to work for you as a professional. The preparation is still going to be similar, and the writing up of notes and things like that, it is going to be similar, as to whether it's a virtual meeting like this, or if it's a face-to-face, that sort of thing. It's how can you adapt it to work for you. I mean, I know one of the things that I've done, as I said, even though we work from home, but it's after a thing like this, I suspect the 3 of us, we will all just actually get up, stretch our legs, step away from the computer, step away from the screens for a matter of moments or half an hour or whatever, just to reinvigorate ourselves and re-energize ourselves. But yeah, Lucy, I would definitely come along to one of the community cafes, and practitioners, professionals will be able to share their tips for what works for them, and will be far more valuable than me wittering on about stuff that might be completely irrelevant.
Well, no, it's just interesting to get other people's perspective, isn't it? As you say, so it's just a lovely place to share ideas. Lucy says, thank you. I'll do my best to get to the cafe. Would love a cuppa with you all. You're more than welcome, Lucy. You can come any time and have a cuppa with us.
Well, any time, as long as it's 6:30 on a Monday evening.
Yeah. Any week, I meant.
Super. So if we have no more questions, it is actually 3 o'clock. I'm very grateful to the 2 of you for because I know we started this course like, what are we going to do? So
lovely
thank
chat.
you. It's been really lovely to talk to you both, and thank you for those who've been watching online.